Sir Henry Rowley Bishop, the 18th of November 1786 to the 30th of April 1855, was an English composer. He is most famous for the songs Home, Sweet Home, and Lo, Hear the Gentle Lark. He was the composer or arranger of some 120 dramatic works, including 80 operas, light operas, cantatas, and ballets. Bishop was knighted in 1842. Bishop worked for all the major theatres of London in his era, including the Royal Opera House at Covent Garden, the Theatre Royal, Drury Lane, Vauxhall Gardens and the Haymarket Theatre, and was professor of music at the universities of Edinburgh and Oxford. His second wife was the noted soprano Anna Bishop, who scandalised British society by leaving him and conducting an open liaison with the harpist Nicolas-Charles Bochsa until the latter's death in Sydney. Life. Bishop was born in London, where his father was a watchmaker and haberdasher. At the age of 13, Bishop left full-time education and worked as a music publisher with his cousin. After training as a jockey at Newmarket, he took some lessons in harmony from Francisco Bianchi in London. In 1804 he wrote the music to a piece called Angelina, which was performed at Margate. After his second success on the stage with A Maniac, 1810, Bishop became music director of Covent Garden for the next 14 years. In 1813, he was a founding member of the Royal Philharmonic Society. In 1825 Bishop was induced by Robert Elliston to transfer his services from Covent Garden to the rival house in Drury Lane, for which he wrote, among others, the opera Aladdin, based on the story from 1001 Nights. It was intended to compete with Weber's Oberon, commissioned by the other house. Aladdin failed, and Bishop's career as an operatic composer came to an end. He did, however, rework operas by other composers. An 1827 Covent Garden playbill records a performance of The Marriage of Figaro with the overture and music selected chiefly from Mozart's operas, the new music by Mr. Bishop. It included an aria called Follow, Follow O'er the Mountain, sung by Miss Patton. In 1841 he was appointed Read Professor of Music in the University of Edinburgh, but resigned the office in 1843. In 1848 he became Heather Professor of Music at the University of Oxford, succeeding William Crotch, until 1853. According to William Denslow, Bishop was a Freemason. Bishop was knighted in 1842. Bishop's later years were clouded by scandal. He had married his second wife, the singer Anne Riviere, in 1831. She was 23 years younger than he, and they had 3 children. In 1839, Anna Bishop, as she was now known, abandoned her husband and 3 children to run off with her lover and accompanist, the harpist and composer Nicolas-Charles Bochsa. They left England to give concert tours abroad until Bochsa died in Sydney, Australia. In 1856, Anna Bishop sang on every continent and was the most widely travelled opera singer of the 19th century. Sir Henry Bishop died in poverty in London. Although he had a substantial income during his lifetime, he is buried in East Finchley Cemetery in North London. Music. Bishop's operas were written in a style and format that satisfied the audiences of his day. They have more in common with the earlier, native English ballad opera genre, or with modern musicals, than the classical opera of continental Europe with full recitatives. His first opera, The Circassian's Bride, 1809, had one performance at Drury Lane before the theatre burned down and the score was lost. Bishop reconstructed it from memory. Between 1816 and 1828, Bishop composed the music for a series of Shakespearean operas staged by Frederick Reynolds. But these and the numerous works, operas, burlettes, cantatas, incidental music etc., which he wrote are mostly forgotten. Even his limited partnering with various composers including Joseph Edwards Carpenter, Thomas Simpson Cook and Stephen Glover are often overlooked. 1816 also saw the composition of a string quartet in C minor. His most successful operas were The Virgin of the Sun, 1812, The Miller and His Men, 1813, Guy Mannering, 1816, and Clary, or The Maid of Milan, 1823. Clary, with a libretto by the American John Howard Payne, included the song Home, Sweet Home, which became enormously popular. In 1852 Bishop relaunched the song as a parlor ballad. It was popular in the United States throughout the American Civil War and after. According to music historian Anne Gilchrist, if a postscript by another hand may follow Mr. Frank Kidson's most illuminating true story of the origin of Home, Sweet Home, in the November number of the Choir. Musical readers may perhaps be interested to learn that the melody was vastly improved by compression in Sir Henry Bishop's later edition of it. The one now familiar, the original so-called Sicilian air, which Bishop, as Mr. Kidson has told, confessed to having written himself for lack of the required specimen of Sicilian melody, is a tedious affair, with much repetition. The first two bars, now counted as 4, of the melody are sung, with a variation of a single note, 4 times, and after 2 bars of something a little different, a 5th time. It is as if one sang the strain, "Mid pleasures and palaces though we may roam, be it never so humble, there's no place like home," twice over, then 2 bars of variation. Then the music of the above 2 lines once more. There is as yet no refrain of Home, Sweet Home, but instead, the strain belonging to There's No Place Like Home. There's no place like home is sung, except for 1 note, twice over. As a conclusion, the truth as it appears to me is that Bishop's notion of Sicilian music was exclusively derived from the hymn tune, Sicilian Mariners, whose character he imitated as closely as prudence would allow. www.tradsorm.org, home %20 sweet %20 home %20 20 Gilchrist. PDF. Also of note is Bishop's 1819 musical comedy adaptation of William Shakespeare's The Comedy of Errors, which included the popular coloratura soprano aria, Lo! Hear the Gentle Lark. Quote, Bishop's last work was the commissioned music for the ode at the installation of Lord Derby as Chancellor of Oxford University in 1853. Principal works: stage works, The Maniac, or The Swiss Banditti, 1810. Opera, The Brazen Bust, 1813. Melodrama, The Miller and His Men, 1813. Melodrama, Sadak and Kalazrade, or The Waters of Oblivion, 1814. Opera, Brother and Sister, 1815. Entertainment, Guy Mannering, 1816. Musical play, December and May, 1818. Operetta, The Heart of Midlothian, 1819. Musical drama, The Comedy of Errors, 1819. Musical comedy, The Battle of Bothwell Brig, 1820. Musical romance, Clary, or The Maid of Milan, 1823. Opera, As You Like It, 1824. Musical comedy, Aladdin, 1826. Opera, Yelva, or The Orphan of Russia, 1829. Musical drama, cantatas, oratorios, The Jolly Beggars, Robert Burns, 1817. Cantata, Waterloo, 1826. Cantata, The Seventh Day, John Milton, 1833. Sacred Cantata, The Departure from Paradise. Milton. 1836. Sacred Cantata. The Fallen Angel. 1839. Oratorio. Instrumental music. Grand Sinfonia in C major. 1805. For orchestra. Concertante. 1807. For flute, oboe, bassoon, violin and double bass. String quartet in C minor. 1816. Overture. Alla Irlandese. 1823. For piano. A lament. 1829. For piano. Notes. This article incorporates text from a publication now in the public domain. Chisholm, Hugh, ed. 1911. Bishop, Sir Henry Rowley. Encyclopaedia Britannica. 4. 11th ed. Cambridge University Press. p. 1. F. Corder. The Works of Sir Henry Bishop. In The Musical Quarterly. Volume IV No. 1. 1918. pp. 78-97. M. Fowle. Nicolas-Charles Bochsa. Harpist E. Compositeur. Escroc. Editions Delator. France 2003. Grove Music Online. Bishop. Sir Henry R. Owley. Kidson. F. 1900. British Music Publishers. Printers and engravers from Queen Elizabeth's reign to George IV's. Hill and Sons. London. Sir Henry Rowley Bishop at Encyclopaedia Britannica. Free scores by Henry Bishop. Composer. At the International Music Score Library Project. IMSLP. Free scores by Henry Bishop. Composer. In the Choral Public Domain Library. Choral Wiki. The Mutopia Project has compositions by Henry Bishop.